In this video, I'm going to cover how I use gates. Now, gates are used to reduce the amount of extra noise in our signal going to our main mix. Now, the main use case I'd say for this would be on the drums. It can be used on a bunch of other inputs as well, but the main one would probably be drums. And the main reason for that is all of the microphones that we would have on a drum kit. Each of those mics is, again, like all other mics, it's just picking up everything. It doesn't care that it's pointed at a particular drum, it's picking up all of the drums around it and even some sounds from the stage depending on its positioning. So using a gate, we can try and cut out parts of the signal that when that particular drum isn't being used. An example being like a kick mic. When the kick is hit, we want to hear it, but then when it's not being hit, we want to pull that channel back so that we're not adding more noise to our overall mix. So I have our kick-in mic that we've done a few other things to. Okay, I'm going to bring this one in. We can hear it. So one of the things you'll notice is that we are hearing the beater hit the kick drum when he does that, but we're also hearing is the hi-hats, the snare drum. There's also just some general noise from the stage as well. So what we can do is use our gate to pull that channel down when all we're getting is that extra noise so that it cleans up our signal. So if I bring it back in and turn on our gate, you can see that not much is happening. And that's based off of the settings that we have here. So the settings that we have control of with our gate is the attack time, the hold time, the release time, and then we have a threshold and depth. And then there's also a side chain on this bit of processing as well. So the attack time is how quickly does the gate open. The hold is how long does it stay open after the signal drops below the threshold. And then the release is how long does it take to go back to whatever the depth is set to. So in this case it's set to 20, so it would be negative 20 dB from the signal level. So if I just increase our threshold here, we'll be able to hear the gate kicking in because now we've increased the point at which the gate will open. Okay, and so that we now have a good threshold set. And what the threshold here is saying is that when the signal level is below this point, we want to close the gate. And then it'll use the timing settings to show how quickly that'll happen. And then the depth setting is how much it's dropping it. So right now it's 20 dB. So you can still sort of hear the other stuff in there, but it's a lot lower. If I bring this up to, let's say, 4 dB. You can hear a lot more because it's not dropping it that much. But as we increase this, you can hear how it's cutting out more and more of the extra noise in the signal. Where the other settings, like I said, come in, the attack time is how quickly does the gate open once it goes past. For drums, generally we want a really fast one, so we have 50 microseconds here, which is as fast as this one goes. The hold time is how long does it stay open once it goes off. And where this is important is sometimes we might want a fast release so it'll shut quickly, but we want it to stay open for a bit longer. So you can adjust that hold time, and then you can choose how quickly the gate closes after that. So if I turn this hold up, so you can see when it was all the way up to almost a second, it wasn't even closing because it was being held open long enough for the next kick beat to come in. And then if we adjust our release time, you can really see this on our gain reduction meter. As I increase the time on here, it'll take longer and longer for it to increase. So you can see there that as I decreased the time on the release, it even started cutting off the sound of the drum. So that's where you get into adjusting these times things. You can even shape the sound that you want. If we wanted to cut out the back end so we're only really hearing the attack, we could do a really fast release time, and the gate will kick in and sort of cut off the end. But generally, what we're going to go for is, for a drum, like I said, a very fast attack time so that it opens quickly. We might want it to stay open for a few milliseconds just to let the drum ring out. And then the release time, we want it so that you can hear how much of the drum you want, but then it's closing the gate for more of the other sounds. And generally depth, I just generally do about 12 dB. You're still going to hear a bit of noise, but it's 12 dB lower. So that's going to pull that extra noise out of the mix quite a bit. Okay, and so that's all the basics part of the gate there. The other section, this one also has a side chain, and then this is, again, just like with the compressor, is a way to can EQ the detector signal for it. So if I put a low pass on it, now the detector is no longer listening to things above that frequency. So with something like a kick, that could be really helpful because sometimes like the cymbals or the snares can be loud enough in the mic to set it off. So by setting this low pass filter on the detector, it's going to stop listening to those signals as well. Now this one's set to self-keyed. That's how you would generally do it. There is some benefit to, you can also change what this sidechain is keyed to, and if you want the gate to open and close based on other sounds. So one use case for that particular scenario is a trick that I've heard of where if you run a signal generator to one of your inputs at a really like 30 hertz, 40 hertz, something really low end, and your kick isn't feeling that full, you can put a gate on a signal generator that's running at that lower frequency, and then key the gate to the kick channel so that when the kick is hit, it's going to open that signal generator and then close. And so we can add some really low-end thump to the kick. So if I bring our kick in mic, I'm not going to bring in the kick out just so we can hear just the signal generator. And if I'll bring this in now, we're going to hear some low end, really, really low end. And you can adjust how much of that you hear based on your release time, how long does that stay, and with your hold time, that type of thing. So if we do a kick in, kick out, so this is the sound of just our mics. We can add this in to give it some really low end thump. So that's just a fun way that you can use the side chain to add some extra sound to your kick drum. But yeah, that's all sort of the features of the gate section. So I hope you found that really useful. If you enjoyed this, I've got several other videos on similar topics that you can check out. And thanks for coming.